It comes as companies in China say they could be badly hit by the ongoing trade war with the US.
The tariffs, we've been watching the markets through the course of the last few hours. Donald Trump, it's being reported.
To Donald Trump's trade war now, and China has called on the United States to cancel all tariffs after Washington.
I think President Xi is a very smart guy, and I think we'll end up making a very good deal for both.
The U.S. administration has imposed steep tariffs on certain Chinese imports, triggering what many are calling a trade tsunami for Beijing. China, a vast market and long-standing major trading partner of the United States.
Those with good eyes, with bad eyes, we didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here, we didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. As you know, the tariffs are on, and the money is pouring in at a level that we've never seen before.
Now faces tariffs reaching as high as 245%, a bold strategic move that some describe as one of America's most powerful economic weapons. Standing before reporters, President Trump remarked, "The tariffs are on, and the money is pouring in like never before." Yet behind the scenes, the question remains, how much damage will these crushing tariffs inflict on China, one of the world's foremost manufacturing powerhouses? These tariffs are not isolated. Additional duties ranging from 145% to 150% have been introduced across a wide array of sectors. But which industries will be hit the hardest? Youth unemployment in China has soared to record highs. Scenes of young students breaking down in despair, overwhelmed by the growing job crisis, have flooded social media. What kind of economic upheaval could collapse in Chinese exports bring? From mass unemployment to crumbling pension systems. Let's take a closer look at the current tension between the world's two largest economies. Just a few years ago, trade between the U.S. and China was valued between $550 billion and $600 billion, spanning from textiles and technology to electronics and steel. Their economies were deeply intertwined. But now, the White House has made a decisive move. In a recent press briefing, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leach stated, "The president has made his position on China very clear. The ball is in their court. They need our money. They have to deal with us." Leaked reports confirm that the U.S. Customs Service has now implemented a 245% tariff on strategic Chinese imports, including electronic components, high-precision machinery, steel and aluminum derivatives, and chemical raw materials. Products such as semiconductors, machine parts, and steel profiles are among the most heavily affected. Tariffs in the 145% to 150% range now apply to a wide range of consumer goods, from textiles and footwear to household items and toys. At the recently concluded Canton Fair, the first signs of impact were visible. A staggering 98% of the booths were hosted by Chinese companies, while foreign buyers were notably absent. Exhibitors asked in frustration, "Where's everyone? What will we do if the American orders stop?" This alarming picture points to a deeper economic squeeze. The Canton Fair is traditionally China's grand showcase for global exports, and its silence speaks volumes. Inside sources say China is bracing for serious economic strain. Despite its massive domestic market, a large portion of China's manufacturing is export-driven, especially products destined for the U.S. Analysts predict China could lose $300 to $400 billion in exports over the next 2 years. By 2028, the loss might surpass $1 trillion, and in the longer term, even $2 trillion, as production may shift to other Asian countries. This crisis extends beyond exports. China's pension funds, heavily reliant on state-owned enterprise profits, could also be shaken. With declining revenues, public spending on healthcare, education, and pensions may be cut, leading to social unrest. But is Beijing truly without options? The Chinese government insists it is pivoting towards domestic consumption and exploring alternative markets, from Asia-Pacific trade agreements to expanding exports in Africa and South America. Yet, replacing the U.S. consumer market, particularly for high value-added products, will not be easy. China still holds key economic cards. It could restrict the export of high-tech materials or tighten U.S. corporate access to the Chinese market. However, these measures may also backfire, harming both economies and shaking the global financial system. China remains one of the largest aviation markets, with billions of dollars worth of Boeing aircraft on order. News of delayed or canceled deliveries has already sparked concern across the U.S. media. Likewise, American companies deeply embedded in China could also feel the pressure. The silence at the Canton Fair may be a harbinger of deeper turmoil ahead. For many Chinese exporters, losing the U.S. market is an unprecedented shock. The high tariffs not only make shipping goods unprofitable, they also threaten to leave manufacturers with unsold stock and halted production lines. Still, the U.S. maintains its stance. They'll come and make a deal, says the White House confidently. But nationalist sentiment is on the rise in China. Social media posts claim the U.S. still thinks it's the only market that matters. In reality, China is facing severe export cancellations, especially in tech and electronics. Some estimates suggest a 1% to 1.5% drop in annual GDP growth, which, if sustained, could result in losses exceeding $1 trillion in just a few years. Let's not forget, the U.S. economy won't emerge unscathed either. Inflationary pressures may rise, production costs can increase, and consumer prices may follow suit. Even as Washington seeks to shift supply chains to Southeast Asia, such transitions are rarely seamless. This standoff isn't just a trade war. It's increasingly seen as the economic front of a new Cold War. As tensions rise over semiconductors, AI, and the defense industry, each side is wielding its economic influence like a sword. A sudden restriction on high-tech exports from China or a mass exodus of American firms could send shockwaves across both nations. So, is a compromise still possible? According to American media, Washington expects Beijing to make serious concessions on intellectual property, market access, and technology transfers before even considering tariff reductions. China, for its part, maintains that it already abides by global trade norms, and that Washington is overstepping. In the end, it's not just businesses and investors caught in the middle, but the entire global economy. Whether this economic conflict cools or escalates into a full-blown crisis remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the empty halls of the Canton Fair may be just the beginning. What's your take on this issue? Will China be forced to yield under the weight of a 245% tariff wall? Or will it turn the tables with new alliances and strategic moves? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and support us with a like.